Hello, I'm Beth. Welcome to my yoga channel, Mindful Yoga with Yogi Beth C. That's me. I am a yoga teacher and a licensed clinical psychologist. Today's practice is going to be yoga for bone strength. Great news, a researcher and doctor, Dr. Loren Fishman, proved that yoga poses can help build bone density. He actually studied 12 different poses that help build bone density. I'll link to his exact study down below. He also wrote a book with a co-writer, Ellen Saltonstall. Show it right here. And in this book, they provide a few different variations on these 12 poses. So that's going to be what I share with you today. We're going to do a variation on these poses that doesn't do any twists and that minimizes forward folding. Both twisting and forward folding can be more challenging for people who already have osteoporosis or any other flexibility challenges. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to use a strap to engage the upper body in these poses, especially the standing poses that we do, and then at the end there will be some poses on the floor. So if you're ready to join me, grab your strap and stand on your mat. Okay, so here we are with our strap on our mat. The first pose that we're going to do is tree pose. And we're going to be holding all of these poses for about 30 seconds. That's the length of time, or the minimum length of time, that Dr. Fishman recommended. Some of them we might do more 45 to a minute. Tree pose is a balance pose, so that's probably going to be a little more challenging for us to hold, but we'll see what we can do. It's totally fine if you fall. So here's how we're going to use the strap. Our tree pose today is going to be a cactus pose. Let's start with the arms. Take the arms up in a wide V with the strap. Palms are forward. Bend the arm so that the strap comes behind your head. You're drawing your shoulder blades together in your back. You're getting some wide space across your chest. So this is the upper body engagement. Then root one of your feet into the ground. If you're mirroring me, root your right foot into the ground. Turn out your left from your hip, and then your tree pose can be rooted with the toes on the ground, or the sole of the foot can come up anywhere on the inside of the other leg. You do want to avoid the inside of the knee. You don't want to press on the joint. And see if you can start to find your balance, maybe glancing down like I am. And we'll hold this for about 30 seconds. Remember, if you wind up touching down, it's completely fine. If you don't like using the strap, you don't have to use it. Oop, I almost lost my balance there. But come right back up so I can hold for about another 10 seconds or so. You can use a dog leash, a long scarf, even a pair of leggings instead of the strap, or you can have your arms in any other position. And you can see me wobbling around. Engaging my arms a little more actually helps with the wobbling. All right, last breath. Set down on that side. You can release the arms for a moment. You might feel the leg that we were standing on, that leg had to exert a lot of effort, and it's that tugging of the muscles on the bone that helps build bone strength. Okay, let's go to the other side. If you're using the strap for your arms, take your elbows back, drawing your arms into that cactus shape. Let your weight be strong on your left foot. Turn your right leg out at the hip joint. So not just at the knee or the foot, but at the hip joint. And then look for a spot where you can press your foot against your leg and your leg against the foot. And you can see the side is a little bit more wobbly for me. I'm trying to find a place where I can sustain. Engaging my arms, drawing the attention to the arms sometimes helps with the balance of the lower body. Breath can also help sustain the pose. One or two more breaths. All right, and then set the foot down. You can bring the strap down. Now again, you don't need the strap, and you can also hold the poses for longer than I am. So you can pause and do longer if you'd like to work up to 1 minute, even 90 seconds or 2 minutes. Our second standing pose is going to be chair pose. And again, we'll use the strap for the arms. This time I'm taking the strap behind my back. You can see my hands wider than my hips, and I'm turning my thumbs out. Now I could hold my arms like this. That's an internal rotation of my shoulders. You can see how that turns my shoulders in. I like to turn them out so I get a nice stretch, again, across the front of the chest. It helps me access my breath. Find your feet width for your chair pose, and that might be closer together like a one-legged stool. It might be wide like an armchair, or anywhere in between. That doesn't matter. In all of these scenarios, we're putting weight on our feet. And then we're going to start to sit back as if we're seated in a chair, working towards sitting in a chair. So we're not leaning forward. We're sending our butt and our hips back. And you can keep the arms right where they are, or if you'd like, you can engage the arms up a little bit more. You're engaging the upper back, and that makes it a little bit more of a whole body work or workout. You might have been saying that the legs were plenty for you. But while we're working on bone strength in the lower half, why not get a little bit of opening and stretch for the upper? All right, if you see me glancing down, I'm trying to time these poses so we're not in them too much longer than 30 seconds. Again, some might be a little bit more like 45, which is great. The longer the better. If you need to come out sooner though, always do that. The goal is to work up to these longer holds. All right, last breath in chair pose. And then root down into your feet to rise up. Let your arms come down. The nice thing about this is because the holds are about 30 seconds each, you can get a good strength workout for your muscles, for your bones without a lot of time. All right, I'm taking my feet wider now and wide facing the long edge of your mat. We're going into another standing pose called triangle pose. The basic recommended width for standing poses is somewhere around where if you extended your arms, your wrist would be over your ankles. That's an approximate. You can try that and see how that feels. You might need to widen or come closer together. That's completely fine. Again, we're weight bearing on the feet, and that's what's really important in this pose. And we're getting the weight bearing in the hips too. Dr. Fishman showed that yoga helped osteoporosis in the spine and in the hips. So for triangle pose, we don't usually use a strap. Again, I'm going to use a strap just for a little bit extra engagement in my upper body. I'm going to start with my arms wide. You can take as much width as you like, palms forward. And then let's turn the left toes out to the short edge of the mat. Let the right ones turn a little bit in that direction. And I'm going to take my right hip as if I'm kind of kicking it back, but it's really my whole pelvis that's sliding, and especially my left femur that is sliding right in that hip socket. So you can get that motion first. Take your arms nice and wide, and then start to slide your hips, your pelvis, as your whole body begins to lean toward your left. Now you can keep the hands as they are, or maybe you bring the bottom hand to rest on the leg, stretching open with the top hand. And take your gaze to wherever feels comfortable on your neck. So straight ahead is a great option. Looking down toward your bottom foot is a good option. You can even look up if that feels good. All right, so while I've been talking, it's been about the first 15 to 20 seconds. We have a little bit longer in this pose. As always, use your breath, not only to help energize, but also to help you soften and be able to stay in the pose a little longer. And then when you're ready to rise, you're going to root into both feet, especially your back foot, and your top hand can even help with the pulling up. And like we did before, let's rest the arms for a moment, see how that feels in your body. We'll do the second side. So this time it's going to be your right foot toward the short end of the mat. Your back left foot will turn in a little bit. So our hips kind of go off a bit on a diagonal. That's completely fine. And remember, this motion is the entire hip girdle, the entire pelvic girdle moving to the back or the left as you fold right at the front hip crease. You can add the arms or not. I'm going to keep the arms nice and wide. It feels good to me to have this openness across my chest. I'm going to slide my hips Really, I can feel that front leg femur moving right into the hip joint. That's a good thing. Reaching to wherever feels comfortable for you. You can keep the arms floating and apart or take the bottom hand to rest. The bottom hand can also come to a block or a chair. Remember that gaze might be down, might be up, might be straightforward. Another breath or two here. And then once again, we push, we root into the outside edge of the back foot, even a little bit of effort with the top arm to help ourselves come up tall. And this time you can step your feet back into each other, put the strap aside, take a moment to feel mountain pose, feel your weight on both feet. Breath or two. All right, so you already made it through the first 3 poses. We started with that tree pose, then we went to a chair and triangle. We're going to start moving toward the floor. Our next pose is going to be a downward facing dog. So it's going to be one pose where we put some weight on the hands, and there's also going to be a folding at the hip joint without a rounding of the back. So your back is going to stay long the whole time. Join me down on hands and knees. Now, if you have trouble with down dog or it just doesn't feel like a comfortable pose to you, you can place your hands on the wall instead and do an upside down L shape. Or you can also place your hands on blocks or even the seat of a chair or some kind of bench to elevate your hands a little bit more. I'm going to be doing my hands right on the floor. So start with your hands under your shoulders, taking the fingers wide gives more support under your hands, and then walk your hands a little bit forward of your shoulders. So you can see my shoulders are definitely behind my hands, and I want my shoulders to be even more behind, so I'm going to press into my hands, start to slide my hips back so that my arms begin to be long and my shoulders are way behind my wrists. From this little crouching position, I'm going to tuck my toes, to keep my head in line with my spine by turning my gaze a little bit toward the floor. And then very slowly, see how I'm in this crouch, my arms are staying really long. Then I'm going to lift my legs towards straight. If your legs are here, that's completely fine. I'd rather have your legs lots of bent and your arms stretching long than being like this with your legs straight, which is more of a plank shape. So let's see if we can find that long arm shape, long legs towards straight. They don't have to be straight. Moving your tailbone in the opposite direction of the crown of your head. Breathing into the length that you're creating in your back. You can see my heels are not on the floor. That's fine. You can play around with pushing one foot and then the other toward the floor if you'd like. That's really more engaging your flexibility or playing around with your flexibility. And we're, in this practice, going for bone strength. If you're still with me, last few breaths, remember, come out of this when you need to. And then when you're ready, begin to let your knees come down to the mat. And you can come upright for a moment. All right, down dog was pose number 4. Number 5 is going to be either a locust or a cobra pose on the mat. We're going to be prone, which means face down. You'll have the option to use the strap for this. I'm not going to use it at first, but then I'll show you a version where you can use the strap if you want to incorporate the arms in that way. You don't have to. So Dr. Fishman said that back bends, when we extend across the front and engage the back, are actually shown to help build muscle even more, especially in older people, build bones even more than forward folds or rounding. They're even better for your body. So let's try it. So we're going to come all the way down. We're going to come through a Sphinx pose. And Sphinx pose is where we support on the forearms. We're pushing into the forearms to lift the chest. So I'm still engaging with the muscles on my back. I'm not rounding or slumping. But it's supported, meaning my arms are helping me stay in this position. I don't want to have any kind of pinching or burning sensation in my low back. If you feel that, rearrange your legs in a different place, maybe make them a little wider or a little closer, change the position of your heels, or you can also stay engaged but come down lower. So that's our Sphinx version. For Cobra, we're going to come down so that our forehead's to the ground. Take your hands to the side as if you're in a push-up pose. And then pressing evenly into both of your hands, you'll push up. You might stay here with bent arms, or you might push up more arms towards straight. So we're going to hold here, and then I will show you the last version that you can try if you'd like to incorporate the arms with the strap. So that would give you an extra bonus back bend. I'm really pushing with my hands as I'm engaging my muscles of my back. I'm trying to think about width across my front body, width across my collarbones. Last breath or two here. And then start to bend your arms to ease yourself back down. So you can come down and take your forearms and rest. Now you can take a bonus and repeat that if you'd like, or I'll show you the strap version if you want to do an extra back bend. They tend to be energizing, so if you need a little extra burst of energy, give this a try. So for this version, I'm going to take the strap across my lower back and take my hands behind me. Now right now my palms are up. You can also turn them like we had them before so that thumbs are out. And hopefully you can see how on my back, the muscles on my back are engaging to do this. And then I can keep my feet planted as I use my back muscles to lift up. And one more option is I can turn this into a locust pose by also lifting the legs. So any of these variations are going to help you to build back bone density in your spine. You want to choose the variation that feels most comfortable and safe for your body, while also offering you a little bit of a challenge. All right, let's take one more breath. And if you were holding this with me, bring everything down. Set the strap aside. Come back up and then grab your strap and meet me lying on your back. Okay, we have 3 poses left that we're going to do lying on our back. We're going to do a bridge pose with optional strap for, again, for arms engagement in the bridge pose. We'll do a reclined leg stretch. And then we'll finish, you can finish with traditional relaxation pose if you like. I'm going to show you one last option with the strap that I think is really comfortable and relaxing. It's a waterfall pose with the strap. So I'll move the strap out of the way as we set up for bridge pose. Come to lying on your back. And as you come to lying down, you want your feet to be fairly close to your bottom. Now you can simply find a spot where that is comfortable, or maybe you scoot your bottom a little bit more close to your feet. Take a breath here. And bridge pose is another back bend. This time face up. We're still stretching across the collarbones and the front of the body and engaging the back, but this time the back that's engaged is more our glutes, our hamstrings. So with that in mind, start to press into both of your feet. Engage your glutes, but not just squeezing your glutes. Also let the muscles on the back of your legs, your hamstrings, participate in this lift. Lifting yourself up to a bridge, and I'm sliding my shoulders a little bit more under my back to hold me here. Go up to a height that is comfortable where you can hold for about 30 seconds. Now you have an option to interlace your hands under your back, or this is another place where you can take the strap, bring the strap long ways or kind of in a cross from your back, hold onto it with both hands and simply use that engagement of your arms. You can see I've got my palms up and I'm gently pulling on the strap, and as I do that, I'm thinking about engaging the backs of my legs, my glutes, even my lower back muscles to lift me into this bridge position for a few more breaths. Last breath. If you're holding the strap, move it out from underneath you. Begin to let your hips come back down and rest here for a moment. Okay, for our recline leg strap, we are going to be using the strap around one leg at a time. So let one of your legs stay planted on the ground. Take the strap over the ball or the arch of your other leg. Let yourself have plenty of straps so your elbows can really just rest against the floor. So your shoulders are not way up here. Your shoulders can be really relaxed. It helps if you have something long to use as a strap. I automatically stretch my leg straight. You might start with a bent leg. When you can, begin to straighten the leg. And it doesn't matter where it is, wherever you find it, let it be as straight as you can, and then use a little bit of your arm strength to draw it closer to your body wherever it lands. So no forcing it, wherever it lands. Notice that there's some pressure of, again, that femur bone, the upper leg bone in the hip joint. That's what we want, and that's the exact spot where we're going to hold. So using your arms to help maintain the leg in this position. And these floor poses we're holding for more like a full minute because they're a little easier to sustain, right? You're on the floor, you're not fighting gravity as you're in the pose. We can take advantage of that, take advantage of the way that gravity is actually helping us here. The other thing you'll notice is this is technically a forward fold, because a forward fold is anytime our torso moves closer to our leg or vice versa. The advantage of doing it this way is our back is stabilized in this long neutral position. There's no chance of it rounding. Whereas in seated forward folds and standing forward folds, it's much more challenging to prevent the back from rounding, and too much rounding is not good for osteoporosis. It's fine if your back is healthy and you have no issues, but for osteoporosis, there's a risk. All right, last breath here. And slowly bring the first leg down. You might take a moment to stretch the legs out and feel how that feels, one leg to the other. If the leg you just stretched felt longer, well, that's a nice little added benefit. Now we'll go to the second side. Take your strap around the sole of the second leg. Keep it bent for a moment as you relax your arms, your shoulders to the ground. And as you move it towards straight, remember you might be moving it away from you, and that is fine. Whenever you find whatever straight is for you today, use your arm strength to help bring the leg any amount closer to your body, whatever that range is for you. You can allow your arm strength to be a part of that to help you. So without the arms, I can bring my leg to a different position than with the arms and hands helping. But wherever I land, I don't want it to be overly forced. Finding the balance between effort and ease. All right, and then we hold. And we stay. And again, we're staying for about a minute total. You can focus on that sense of the bone fitting right into the hip joint. And even think about the muscles pulling toward the bone. And then exhale and release. Okay, so for this last pose, if you'd like, you can take Shavasana. Dr. Fishman does recommend Shavasana at the end of the practice. You can let your legs come long and your arms be out to the side. Incorporating rest into your practice is important to allow your body to integrate what you've done physically and also to get some of the stress reduction, the emotional benefits of yoga. Or you can try a waterfall version of legs up the wall with the strap. Now, if you're right near a wall, feel free to end your practice resting in legs up the wall, or try this version with me. This time we're going to take both feet into the strap. Straighten both feet toward the ceiling. Use your arms. So a little bit of passive kind of pressure on the arms. So I'm grabbing where I have some pressure on my legs, on my feet to keep my legs there. And then I let my hands slide down the strap. So again, my elbows can be relaxed, my shoulders can relax against the ground. And this feels really nice because it allows me to hold my legs in this place in a way that's pretty effortless for my legs. I don't really have to engage a lot of muscular action in my legs. A little bit of maybe action, a little bit of muscular engagement in my hands and my arms. And I can encourage my breathing to be more expansive, more wide. Maybe allowing the exhales to be a little bit slower and longer. Taking an in-breath and taking a long, audible sigh out. 3 more mindful breaths, so awareness of each in-breath, each complete exhale. After your last exhale, bring the knees down, set the strap aside if you'd like. Roll on your low back a little bit. And then roll through one side, helping yourself up to seated, or if you did the legs up, you can then go into a relaxation pose. So I hope you like this variation of Dr. Fishman's 12 poses for osteoporosis. I did an earlier variation that uses a chair for support. You can try that, or if you're over 50 like me, try any of my over 50 yoga practices. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me a like to let me know what you think, or comment down below. I hope to see you again and have a good rest of your day.